Welcome, everyone. We are talking about the feminine, its identity, its sexuality, its expression. Let me give you my rhyme first. I am a feminine that perceives myself as needing a masculine. I define myself within lack, so I need to be with someone to feel complete as a human. What I did not realize is that I have a concept in my mind of what a masculine or a feminine looks like. The way they behave, the way they talk, and the tone of voice they have. The superhero is the male. The Cinderella is the female that is submissive to the male. The knight in shining armor that saves a feminine in distress. We have a body with different organs, but that does not mean we are not equal. The vagina and the penis are just there because they are. We are all here sharing this one life. Essentially, we are equal in one. I can express as a feminine, open and vulnerable, gentle and resilient, flowing like water in the river. Creation is my expression. To do that, I need to introspect and go within in the depth of my being. Aware of who I am and why I do what I do. I see peace as my expression, that calm ocean deep within. Processing information, redefining words as I go that resonates in the world. The sturdiness of the masculine is stability as the breath, leading my journey in every moment, supporting myself to pursue the direction I am part of this one life that you are a part of. Expressing as both, I stand as both for what is best for all, as the whole within wholeness. Let's welcome Leon in and accept. Hi, Leon.
Hello.
So today we are talking about the feminine. The feminine identity is, for me, my personality as a feminine. It involves the way I talk like this. My hands always go right and left and express with me. The body being different from a male doesn't really matter. But my identity is what I think of who I am within my mind, where I am I have an alternate reality other than this reality I am in, which is the physical reality. And within my mind, I have ideas and I have beliefs about who I am. But really, the basis of that is for me to survive as a feminine in a world where the masculine and the feminine are so separate that I cannot even see the whole of life. So this identity I will have to one day relinquish. And the sexuality that I am, having been traced to the female organ, it's not really what my sexuality is, because when I was in the womb of my mother, there was one part there where I have both female and male organ, and it was through the evolution and the different chemicals like estrogen and testosterone balancing out each other and uh, performing the design that is in my DNA and my expression as a female in this world, being subservient to a male or being the cook in the house or bearing a child in this world and nourishing this child is just a part of the many expressions that I can have. Really, I can express within a masculine role of support also. You see, I can support the male, not maybe in earning money, but in a way where I can let him be. And within that, understand who he is, as I understood who I am, realizing that relationship is the basis of every relationship. And that self is not neither feminine or masculine, or can be both whenever it decides to do that. So let's welcome Leon. Please introduce yourself and give us some insights about the feminine identity, sexuality, and expression.
Well, yeah, my name is Leon. As far as insights, I really don't have any insights.
What to you is a feminine identity?
What is a feminine identity? It just depends on how the person defines it. For me, there are different expressions that fits into femininity.
You are talking about expressions, isn't it? What about female identity? The ID.
Oh, the identity?
Identity, yeah.
Okay, what was your question?
What is your perspective? How do you see that? For me, it is me as a daughter or a feminine, as a daughter of my mom, who is a feminine, and my dad, who is masculine. And the many different roles that I play within that, trying to survive also. So it includes my feminine roles and my masculine roles that was driven by culture, really. And the media and what other people say, to start with.
Okay. Okay, so what's your question?
What is your perspective on that? If that is how I define it, how would you define it?
I define female?
Identity, feminine identity.
Well, how I would define a feminine identity depends on the individual, An identity is just basically how you see yourself. So,
which is for me, it's not. It's a personality that I can change anytime, and it's never stable. Sometimes it's in grief. Sometimes it's sad. Sometimes it's very happy and excited. So how do you see?
I don't see the feminine identity as a personality. That identity is pretty stable. It has been stable for me. The masculine identity has been stable for me throughout my entire years.
Let me just get some.
Regardless of what kind of personality or behavior or mood or anything like that I am expressing in that moment. The identity is more like basically your view of yourself in relation to the external reality. I don't really see that as a personality. It's just
where does the personality come in? Is it in the identity, sexuality, or expression?
The personality is basically how you react to the world.
I react as a feminine in this world. Like, if, for example, the advertising in the media says, buy this clothes, and I will look and I would say, oh, that fits me. So what's your, and also in my ID, it says feminine, or yeah, it's female. It says like that. So that became my identity, but it's never my own. It's never something I created. I want to recreate that into a blend of expression that, my real identity is that self, that is the breath that is here, really. But then I mix that up into something else because of survival reasons.
Well, the identity I see as a stability point, but I believe who we are as a personality and different expressions can be an outflow of that identity, you know, like can be a reaction, if you will, of that identity, of the female identity.
And so what is that female identity that reacts to? I mean, what is that to you?
Well, the female identity or the male identity is just how you see yourself as a male or female. And
that normally involves seeing through the mind's eyes, isn't it? It's not seeing through the real self's eye.
Not really. We don't know all of the aspects that comes together to form our identity as a male or female.
Let's define it right here. It's like the beingness and the mind and the body being aligned, expressing itself here, being that me, the real me, being the me as a personality, as a female or feminine, that can birth itself here as a feminine that has both expressions, not necessarily changing the way I look, but me expressing as both masculine and feminine, masculine within support, masculine within stability, and feminine within depth and
nurture.
Let me see how the depth and flow. I flow with life. I don't let obstacles stop me, like in a river, like water in a river flowing, where the rocks, even they're there, I kind of go around the rocks and flow to the ocean, where we together in unison, feminine and masculine, express ourselves. So what's your you said that the identity could be an outflow, or which is an outflow, the expression of
the personality identity, the ego identity.
Okay.
How we react to the world, contingent on our identity as an individual. You know, our identity as a male or female.
Where did our identity come from?
I don't know.
I mean, it's in the DNA, isn't it? It's pre-programmed in the DNA.
Well, I wouldn't even say pre-programmed, because we don't know all of the aspects that go on in the background when it comes to an identity creation. But
and knowing that in the DNA, it's arranged in a way that you will have to express that trait that you inherited from your parents, for example. So it is really predetermined. What I'm talking about here is that could have been predetermined, but I could actually redesign it, because eventually it boils down to expression. What do you say?
Well, I really don't think it's about redesigning our identity, but it's just defining ourselves in relation to
I mean,
our identity.
redefining our expression.
Yeah.
Where we can see that if I separate myself from a masculine in my expression, I wouldn't be able to express myself fully. And I will always define myself within lack and limitation because I'm like in that performing that feminine role that society has given me, that the media has given me, where the media actually tells me buy this, buy that, and I do buy this handbag. It goes well with your the color of your clothes and your makeup. Buy this makeup, and everything else. Everything to me is driven by that. So, so what then is the difference between identity, sexuality, and expression for you?
Well, identity is how you see yourself in relation to the world.
And where did you said you did not know where it came from?
No.
Okay.
And I really don't think it matters right now. The expression is how you express that identity, through makeup, clothes, personality, behavior, stuff like that. And sexuality is basically who you are attracted to.
Oh, okay. For me, sexuality is the sexual organs that I have, and being defined as that. When in fact, I am not just that. Meaning, because of that female organ, I classified myself as a feminine. When in fact, I can actually. So then, my sexuality determines my expression as a woman. But rather, if we redefine sexuality, sex within equality, sexuality, and the feminine identity, the I has a dent in it, being defined as just a feminine rather than having expression of both. And the expression is express the I. That is like the ion that is here as part of the whole. So for me, my sexuality or having a female organ does not really determine my expression. My expression transcends my sexuality and the identity that I have as a feminine, expressing as both feminine and masculine, and my sexuality having the female organ is there for me to know the role that I will play. Let's say, for example, bearing kids and stuff like that. But then my expression would transcend that, because for me, bearing a child in itself needs stability, needs support from a male. So within that bearing of a child is a combination of a feminine and a masculine expression. So that then my identity as who I am, as that alignment of my being, my mind working for what is best for everyone, both male and female, and the body being taken care of to express in so many different ways, where my strength when I carry something becomes a male expression, because strength is a male expression. So then I embody that whenever I walk moment by moment in this life. So how would you align all of this within you as the mind, you as the being, and you as the body?
How would I align what?
Feminine identity, sexuality, and expression, or masculine identity, sexuality, and expression?
Well, I would just simply align it to where they both work together.
Okay.
Instead of in conflict.
Oh, good point. So give me instances where they're in a conflict.
Well, everywhere you look, there is the monetary system where there is unequal pay. We live in a more patriarchal system, more like masculine system, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And just in conflict with ourselves too, like if a man, for instance, sees a couple, like a homosexual couple,
Mm-hmm.
whether male or female, that's going to be some kind of reaction. So that also entails that there is some type of imbalance, internal imbalance that is creating that reaction. So
as I have defined the feminine identity within the identity as who I really am, as that alignment of the body, the being, and the mind, me, and sexuality aligned to the expression of both feminine and masculine in terms of expanding my expression that translates to transcending my sexuality being just defined by the female organ and what I do as giving birth, for example, where within that there is this masculine expression of stability and support for the baby, which I really embody. But if I limit my expression to a feminine, I would judge the male as less than me in terms of I am prone to judging the male because of what I have experienced within childbirth that they did not experience. So I would unlimit myself or expand myself in my expression to say that I embody the masculine expression anyway within that giving birth to a child, and my expression being depth as I introspect within my mind and see my fears, for example, and looking at my partner as the male, as the masculine, having that same fears that I have. So that depth in my expression is here to actually also assist the masculine. And so it's an interplay of feminine expression, which is flow, for example, and depth with stability and support as a male, as a masculine expression. So that then I don't really need to change my sexual organs or to behave like a man if I want to express like a man. So what is going on right now is that it's a fear reaction to what is going on for me. That is this, because of this limitation that we have imposed on ourselves, that our sexuality or our sexual organs has to be changed to be able, for example, to express as both. And we should have both. For me, the reason why I transcended that sexuality point, or I encourage or potentially transcend, but for me, I really do see that we can just transcend those limitations in our mind that translates to division and different categories, but rather to um, to make use of the sexual organs the way it's designed, but express as both, you know, express as a feminine or a masculine, even if we have, even if our organs are defined by society as feminine or masculine, but transcend that definition in a way that we can express as both, even if we have that same organ, where we respect the body as it is in its expression, because it's an organism too. And I'm pretty sure it does not define itself as a female or as a masculine or feminine. So, do you really see, Leon, that um, if we align the the feminine identity, sexuality, and expression to what is best for all, we can transcend all these boundaries that we or limitations that we have defined ourselves within
So what boundaries?
in our mind. You know that a female, a feminine, can only express as a feminine. So I will have to change my clothes to a male, for example, or I will have to be lesbian. I would like to be gay if I'm a man, to be able to express as a feminine or a masculine other than what I define myself within. Or we can really just stay as who we are and express as both.
Well, sexuality is very intricate point. Very specific, very meticulous. We don't really understand sexuality at all. So physicality. So, I wouldn't use that as an example. I would just use the fact that, for me, I know, well, I pretty much know who I am in my sexuality. I'm questioning it still, but I'm heterosexual, so I can just, I don't even think heterosexuality has anything to do. Well, let me just say, what I would do basically as a quote unquote heterosexual person is I would just use what I have in relation to my own knowledge of myself and express how I define what it means to have a balance of masculine and feminine.
Expression.
Yeah.
Expression meaning the way you, for example,
Yeah.
express as the word sturdiness and the word stability, and at the same time express as the word depth and the word flow within you, which transcend what you have as an organ, as a male organ.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's regardless of my sexuality. I mean, if I was gay, I still have the capacity within myself to define what it is for me to express both masculinity and femininity.
Okay, let's look at what about as a lesbian?
Same thing.
What?
Each of us have that capacity to define, redefine, and
our expression.
Our expression as masculine and feminine.
What about the asexual people? The one that, what is asexual, Liam?
It's no different for anyone, really. Asexuality basically is when you're not attracted to anyone, or on some level, you have little to no attraction to sexual attraction to someone else.
Hetero or homo? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can they express?
Because
as
masculine
both
and feminine it doesn't really have anything to do with sexuality, you know.
Your organs does not define you.
And not only the organs, but your sexuality as your gender as male, female, and then expressing that male, female through masculinity and femininity. That doesn't have anything to do with sexuality, in essence.
So my question was, as an asexual, how would you express the words which are feminine expression, fluid, depth, and also the words sturdiness and stability as a masculine expression?
Well, it depends on how the person wants to define it and sees how that balances that point within themselves.
I can see that, for example, if I am, as a feminine, being defined as a feminine in this world, and I can see that I can express as both. So people who are asexual, they do have their sexual organs, like it's either the organ of a female or the male organ, right? Because asexuals can be a female, can be born a female or a male. So just like a feminine a female who's born with a female organ is the same thing, but just that the expression and the expression would actually be, in their expression it's possible for them to express the feminine words like fluidity, being fluid, and being that being able to flow within life and being able to have that depth as a feminine expression, to also express within the words sturdiness and stability and support as a male expression. So that then within these different categories that was defined within the way we see who we are attracted to in our mind, we can actually transcend that limited definition within who am I attracted to, because attraction in itself requires words that we define in limitation. Because if I, for example, as a feminine, define myself as lacking the masculine traits, so then my expression would be very limited. So it is also the definitions of the words we use in our everyday life is stating our identity, our sexuality, and our expression that determines the alignment of who we really are as the body, as the being that we are, and as the mind. Where the mind, as in all our fears and all our desires, are aligned to, are being looked at using the depth of a female, for example, but then using the stability of the breath as a male expression, where within that we transcend both and we embrace both, or we can express as each whenever it calls for it. Let's say, for example, if I'm gonna carry a heavy something, then I express the sturdiness and the stability of and the support of a male, not asking for male help, but seeing how I can actually lift that heavy thing using common sense, to support my body, to be able to carry that without causing any harm to the body. That to me is me as a feminine expressing as a masculine. What about you, Leon? Let's say because you are masculine in terms of having that male organ. How would you express as a feminine?
Well, I don't think the organs have anything to do with masculine and femininity.
I mean the definitions that we have with regards to me having a female organ, then I have to have a male organ to complete me, so that then and it's mostly because of pleasure that we do this.
Mm-hmm.
But see, we can redefine pleasure to mean enjoyment of both, expressing as both as the feminine flow, like flowing like water through the river, and the masculine expression, which is the steadiness and support that I give myself, for example, that translates to supporting others also. So how would you express as a feminine in a male body?
Nurture, I can define nurture in a way that I, for instance, I double check the work that I do, or I.
How would you flow like water in a river? How would you express that? How do you express that in your life?
Flow like water
in the river, right? Because this is a feminine expression, or
well, flow like water. Basically, I can redefine it for myself, like to not procrastinate, just keep flowing with things that I have. Things that I have, for instance, set goals for. Just rather than procrastinating, I create a flow where I just continue to act and not get caught up in other things that is not aligned to what I set out for myself to do in that moment. So that's one way that I can redefine femininity.
That flow, which
flow.
Is a feminine expression. For me, flow with me, I express that through not being intimidated by problems, but rather looking at the problems as support, where my journey to find the solution to that problem is itself a learning experience that I can take with me. And what about openness, Leon, which is a feminine expression? Being in a male's body, how do you express that?
Being in a male body, how I express femininity?
As openness.
Oh, openness.
As the word openness.
Just being honest, self-honest.
Cool.
Stuff like that.
So for me, openness is not being bounded by rigid thinking of this is my stand and this is how it should be, but rather openness is openness with regards to what else can we do to stand for what is best for all. Let's do it. It's something like that, rather than saying, oh, we have done this and that. That's enough. For me, is being open to more solutions, to identifying more problems in this world that will create a solution that will benefit all. What about gentleness, Leon? How do you express that?
Gentleness?
Mm-hmm.
just basically not really reacting to the outside world, but stopping, having to look at, assess each moment, and being able to live in that moment in a more stable manner.
For me, thank you. For me, gentleness is being resilient. Meaning, if I have a problem, I don't make it hard for myself, but taking myself by the hand and saying, you have been through a lot of problems in your life. You have given solutions to all that. You can do this, you see. And don't make it hard on yourself, June, you see. And then within that expression, that bleeds through my relationships with my partner and the people I will be meeting in a group setting in the community. So what about creation? Creation is a feminine expression. So in a male body, how would you express that?
Creation?
Mm-hmm.
Just like redefining my words, redefining words, basically. Like, for instance, taking the word procrastination, for instance, redefining it in a way that, whenever I procrastinate, rather than procrastinating, I become aware that I'm procrastinating and do what I set for myself to do. So next time I procrastinate, it'll be something that will support me rather than, remaining in that procrastination. So procrastination will equal
uncreation.
The opposite, which is a responsibility.
Oh.
So I can redefine procrastination in that way.
Okay.
Or every time I procrastinate,
you recreate yourself within that.
Yeah.
So that instead of procrastinating, you do that, which you set out to do, which is really point of creation.
Yeah.
What about in a big way, like recreating yourself within your own identity, your own expression as the expansion of you being defined as a male with a male organ, but rather an expression of both female and feminine and masculine words like flow, depth, and sturdiness, and that, and stability as a male and support. So that then when you embody all those and you can express those moment by moment in your daily life, aren't you creating yourself in an expanded way anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave now, and I have other things I gotta do.
Okay, I understand. You're working, so thank you for coming. So we have a creation for me is looking at where I am limiting my expression and expanding that. For example, I created a meat cookie. Normally a cookie is just sugar and flour and milk and butter and stuff like that, depending on what cookie you're making. But I realized that since eating is about nutrition, so I put it in. I put in there some vegetables and a little bit of meat, and I call that my meat cookie. Which, when you eat that, you will have um, meat nutrition, which has got B12 in it, and the different vegetables, like all the vitamins and minerals that's there. So, and that's how I created in this world. And there are other things that I did, like, I saw music as only here to entertain. So what I did is expanded music in such a way that even my lyrics would express who I am as an expanded expression of myself, not just a feminine, but rather expression of the masculine expression also within support and sturdiness and things like that. So, yes, creation is such a cool thing, but we need time and money to do that. And also, to sum it up, the feminine expression is really expressing us both the masculine words, support, not the masculine words, but the masculine expression within the words, sturdiness, stability, support, for example, and the feminine expression within the words, flow, depth, creation, gentleness, you see, and aligning that expression to who I really am as the alignment of my being, the body, support for the body, and supporting the mind in a way where I can identify my fears, my desires, and stuff like that, and redefining the words that is impulsing me to react in a limited way, to expand my expression. So it is really not about us being separated, but us expressing as the whole, as parts of the whole that is life within wholeness. Thank you everyone for being here, and I'll see you soon.